What's up, guys? I'm going to be talking about AOV, or average order value, in my video today. I'll be breaking down 10 different hacks that are super relevant for 2024 and the way we're sort of browsing e-com sites today. And it's going to be massively increasing your average order value no matter what industry you're in. If it's jewelry or skincare, I don't care. It's going to really improve your AOV. And I've also designed all these tips to be very practical, meaning that you will be able to implement them. Sometimes I go as far as suggesting what app to use. So pretty practical presentation I got for you right here. And I also recently delivered this presentation at a mastermind in Amsterdam, and I got really amazing feedback. A lot of people already implementing it. So it definitely has been peer reviewed. Let's dive straight into it. If you're listening to this on Spotify, definitely check out the video version on YouTube or on Spotify as well, so that you can see all the visual implementations as well. So let's dive in. All right, so I got my presentation here. First of all, you know the topic, but why are we talking about AOV? Because AOV is not the same as conversion rate, and it's not been discussed so much, honestly. It's often being forgotten, and everyone is talking about, oh, increase your conversion rate. But for me, AOV is actually king. And there's a few reasons for that, which I go over in the presentation as well. But the main thing is that it's way easier to influence AOV, and that's based over 1,000 split tests, first on my own brands, and then lately on Purple Fire. We're just able to get that. And the reason for that, I'll come into that in a few slides, but it's kind of obvious once you frame it and think about it in a certain way. But a lot of the brands we work with are from 100K up to 1 million. We have clients that are bigger as well, but this is just the most common stats I see. They hover about a 2 to 3% conversion rate. But the average order value is also, there's such a big span, man. It can be all the way down to $40, and then typically you see all the way up to $80. And there are outliers, of course, but that's what I normally see. And then sort of a gross margin of 30 to 60%. That's what we normally see here. And the reason why I think it's so much easier to influence is if you ask this question, right? To convince someone to buy it all, or to influence someone to buy just a little bit more. It's pretty obvious that it's way easier to get people to just buy a little bit more than to not buy or to buy at all, right? This is conversion rate, and this is average order value. So let's dive into the 10 tips in a little bit. But the final thing I want to show you is not sexy, but think about your business, right? There's so many things that are paid once per order. So when you order something, when you ship a package to a client or a customer, a lot of these things don't really change, right? You got one credit card fee, no matter how big the average order value is. Of course, it can be a percentage, but the scale is so low, right? The pick and pack fees to add in one more item. So usually any 3PLs will have a order specific fee and then just a tiny extra fee to pick one more item. So a lot of these things are the same. Shipping fees, there are so many times where if you add in an additional item, it doesn't even increase the shipping fees because the weight difference is so little that there's no extra cost. Affiliate commissions, so if you rely on affiliates as well, it doesn't change. It's the same thing. So think about your cost per order, that it's not really affected, which is why AOV is so powerful. You're literally just adding profit to your order. And also, you know, if you're scaling, you're going to be running into sort of this kind of curve. So let's say you're spending $1,000 a day around here, and you're seeing really nice traction, and you're thinking already in your head, oh my God, if I scale this to 10,000 a month or 10,000 days, sorry, I'm going to see a 10x result. But you're not gonna. You're going to hit a plateau maybe around $4,000, $5,000 a day. And then suddenly you start seeing a dip. The algorithm is just not able to find so many people because your audience size is limited, and you're going to see a lower return. And also, not just the audience size, you're also going to be reaching further and further away from your target audience, your target ICP or USP, and then basically no one's going to buy because it's not really what they're looking for. So anyway, with that in mind, let's go a little bit deeper. I'm going to show you exactly how to increase your AOV, and here are 10 different tips. So number 1, implement a multi-step progression for your cart. And this is where you give away certain tiers, you give away certain discounts or freebies or anything like that in order to get people to spend more. So here we can see an example of that from a True Classic. And by the way, I just want to highlight that when we do this for our clients, we see a 10 to 20% AOV boost if it's done perfectly. And there are a few things. It's very important you get this right. Otherwise, it won't work at all. And some of the key lessons is is that obviously the first target you want to highlight is free shipping. That's usually the first one. I will get into in one of my tips later on how to calculate the free shipping, how you set that threshold in the first place, because that might be a question. But you need to add in additional thresholds. I would say 2 to 3 more are really great. So you have 3 to 4 in total. And as you can see with True Classic, I had a t-shirt in my cart and they are going to give me a long sleeve and they're going to give me a button-up shirt as well. So those are different categories. And I'm pretty sure they're going as far as saying the freebies you have here depend on what you have in your cart. And that's very powerful because you want to make sure these are tailored. Now, the big thing about the additional items you want to unlock, we are trying to get people to spend more. If the options are not desirable, they're not going to spend more. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, in this specific case, free shipping unlocks at about 160, 170 bucks. And then it's another 100 bucks to get the freebie. And then it's another 40 bucks to get the next freebie. So that can be tailored to a lot of different things. It really depends on the size of your business and your average order value and what you're selling. So let's say you're selling, your average order value is 50 bucks and you're selling things for 10 to 30 bucks. Then obviously your thresholds between each tier is way lower. Probably you'll go something about 10 to 25% between each tier. So that's sort of a golden rule we've been able to work with. In terms of categories, if I was a fashion brand and I was selling with True Classic, different things, maybe socks as well and accessories and pants as well, I would want to unlock as many categories as possible because I know if they get one of my products, they will like it and they will come back for it. So it could easily be free shipping, then it could be socks here, and then it could be a button-up shirt here. So the first gift is a little bit less, and then you get a really nice one on the biggest tier. That's something you will have to play with here, but make sure it's desirable and make sure those other categories basically unlock something for you. Maybe you just launched soaps in your skincare line and you're having a hard time selling soaps, then definitely you want to add that in. So I always say this is one of the easiest way to get one of your newer categories to become more popular. Likewise, you might have a hero item you're sending a lot of your traffic to in terms of media buying and so forth. And then you have other products that are secondary and you don't even have a profitable funnel. Well, then maybe this could be a way to unlock that and get people excited about trying it and coming back again. There are 2 major advantages of using this system. Number 1, you increase your average order value. No doubt about it. 10 to 20% as I said. The second benefit that no one talks about is the added LTV, because people will, if they like the products they're getting for free, come back to buy more of those products. So that's an easy way to increase your LTV. And if you look at your cohorts after 3 months, so how much have a customer spent after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, you will see that those numbers will go up once this has been implemented successfully. In terms of the design, that's also a very big component here, and the design really dictates whether you're going to have success. So what you should be looking at here is making sure you write exactly down to the last dollar or cent or whatever currency, how much you have to spend to get the next tier unlocked. If you're just saying the totals down here, but not how much is left, then no one is going to do it because they cannot do that calculation and they don't know what to do to get that last bit of spend to unlock free shipping. So that's a really important design. And then obviously you want to have your progression design here so you can see how far away you are from the discounts. In this case, they actually have one up here and another one here, which is confusing, but basically they do a volume discount and then they do just a total discount where you unlock certain products. So something to keep in mind is that that's a little much. You can get away with this, but you would want a progression bar or at least light up that you have activated this and this is how far you are from the next tier. So consider that this is a bit over the top. One thing, and this is one of the biggest hacks, is being able to show your progression when you're not at the cart level, which is something no one does. Here you can see that for Hero, they are basically showing that you're about to hit free shipping soon. You have to spend 12 bucks more to get free shipping. That's really, really important. Otherwise, you're only going to notice it in cart. And that's when you might be saying, I'm ready to check out. I don't want to look at anything else. If you do it here before the cart, you're still open to it because you haven't made your mind up yet whether you should add more products. So this is an absolutely essential thing. No app currently supports this, so you'll have to custom code it, but this is a high value improvement you can make. Going a little bit further is test a gold nugget number 2, which is test your free shipping threshold. This one is big, guys, because with a free shipping threshold, you can increase your AOV, your conversion rate, your revenue per visitor, and we've seen some really crazy things. We were able to add 18% higher AOV on one of our clients when we did it. So there's some high outcomes, but there's also a lot of technical things you need to understand. In terms of being able to implement your free shipping threshold, you can use Help Scout, you can use IntelliGems. Those apps are on Shopify. If you are on other platforms like WooCommerce and so on, I don't have a particular app you can use, but you can have a good developer set it up for you and then you can test it out. The things you need to think about here is 92% of the clients we work with, they never tested that threshold. So that tells you that your competitor is probably not testing this, and it's one way you can get a massive advantage over your competitors. 45% of the time we were able to get a higher AOV when we did it. And then it all boils down to, is conversion rate being sacrificed by going so hard on your AOV? And ultimately what I'm trying to make you think about is, will you get more revenue per visitor by increasing your threshold? And that is an equation you need to do, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. So let me show you that as well. So gold nugget number 2 is to test this threshold, but what you need to understand is average order size after discounts x shipping is the metric you're looking at. This is not AOV. This is a specific metric you can only pull if you go into the Shopify backend and download all your data. And the reason why it's not AOV is that AOV will typically include shipping, which is not part of the calculation when we want to find out what your free shipping threshold should be. And obviously we want to make sure it's after discounts as well, because we want to know the truth. This is basically a number that tells you the truth of what your AOV is if you don't include shipping, but you do include your discounts. So let's assume that it's 68 bucks in this scenario. And right now your free shipping threshold is set at 150 bucks. It's going to be a very small amount of people that actually reach your free shipping threshold, which means that you are not able to utilize this free shipping to reach anyone. You're not going to get a higher conversion rate. You're not going to get anyone to spend more, because no one is literally reaching it because of how it is. In this case, in order to boost AOV, you would test thresholds below the current 150 bucks, but probably above this number you have here, because we know this is what people are spending if we don't factor in shipping or we factor in the discounts. And we want to nudge those people to just spend a little bit more, 10%, 20%, 30%. And that is our assumption, that if we do that, this free shipping threshold will actually make a difference and we're going to get people spending more money. If you think this, by the way, is too hard to calculate and the whole testing is too hard to calculate, you can definitely reach out to me or to Purple Fire. We can help you get set up, either just consulting with you or just managing the whole test. So that is a little shameless plug right there. But anyway, let's get back to it. So we want to track AOV, we want to track revenue per visitor, and we are doing this doing the testing of these different thresholds. And if we see that this one increases AOV massively, but actually lowers our revenue per visitor so much, then it might not be the best threshold. It might be that this is the best threshold. And sometimes what we do is, if we find a clear winner, let's say the 20% wins, then we might test, 15% and obviously 20% again, and then 25%, because maybe there's a number where we're getting more people. So we will typically do double tests to double down on what we're seeing. So that is a really big one. I have another scenario here, but this video is gonna get insanely long, so I'm not even gonna go through it because I think you got the gist of it by now. So nugget number 3 is to implement a loyalty program, and this one is so underutilized. I pulled 80 top ecom guys all doing 7 and 8 figures, and they were all being pulled, and 2 out of those people were saying they had a loyalty program. So no one is using it. This is another way you can get a massive advantage over your competitors. Here's one from True Classics, where you can just see that if you become a member of the loyalty program, you literally get a 10% off immediately, and 20% of what you buy for gets stored as credits that you can use anytime you want. You immediately unlock free shipping with the non-members. Obviously, you see that on the side, which is really nice. And then you get insiders access to sales, and you can cancel it. So they charge $12 a year for it. But one thing that is very powerful here is that you store so many credits, you get free shipping, you get insider access. This is massively going to increase your AOV and also your LTV. So some of the data here is that we saw that loyalty members spend 67% more than non-loyalty members over a 6-month period if they're correctly activated through SMS and email flows and so forth. But they also spend 70% more. So that's because they feel a massive attachment to your brand. If you activate them correctly, you make them feel appreciated. And of course, they're going to be spending more because you're reminding them of their credits and the expirations of those credits and so forth. Some of the key learnings here in the loyalty program is that it should have real benefits to join the program and not just credit points. So think about making them beta testers, give them access to exclusive products. So one thing we've seen work extremely well is, doing a colorway just for your membership and also giving them access to drops before everyone else. So Black Friday, they get access, let's say 12 hours before everyone else or a day before. You could even do meetups. You could do a ton of different things to activate them. You could give them free products once in a while and samples and so forth. I love beta testers. So if you have products that you can test, you could send it out to loyalty members that opt in and they can sort of test it and give critique. And this is just a massive hack. Like, I just can't tell you how much you can get out of creating a beta test program. And again, no one is doing that, so it's a massive advantage. In terms of 10 to 20% is basically the sweet spot in terms of what you want to give. So if someone spent $100, you're going to give them 10 to 20 bucks in credits. That might seem like a lot, and I think 10% is more the norm here. True Classic is extremely aggressive because they know their numbers so well that it's better to give 20% in credit points than to buy the customer again. So that's the thesis, that when you get so many points, you take away your competition because you're going to give such a good value for your customers. So think about that for a second. Credit points should expire, and it's very important they expire, I would say, within every 3 months, so every quarter they expire. This is very important because then you can activate them by saying your credits are about to expire, and then you will do that through email and SMS. And another thing I just thought about as well is that I don't think it should cost money to join. That's what they're doing here. I think they should give their phone number if they want to join, because that's more valuable than charging a client $12 a year. So something like that is going to be valuable because you can use SMS to target them, and also in everything else, all your marketing. So it's going to be really, really powerful. Other things to keep in mind here is that you can do a referral program inside of your loyalty program, so you can get people to refer more. And then finally, if you want to make the customer earn more credits, you can give them different ideas, like I'll show you the next slide, like create an account, place an order, join our Facebook group, join our Twitter. So all that gives points. And that is very powerful. You can get a lot of cross promotion by doing that. This one is really funny. So basically, if it says celebrate your birthday, you get 100 points, but then you also have to put in your birthday. And everybody knows that if a client gives you their birthday, you can do really good marketing, specific messaging based on that. So you can kind of be creative in that way. The last thing is I have one example of a loyalty program you can use. I have zero affiliation with them, but they're really good, and you can set up all your benefits and all that in here. So I just thought I would do that because it's pretty cool. Yeah, you saw the points as well. So let's proceed. It's a pretty long video, but I think there's just so much value in here, honestly.